The bright lights of Earth's newest laboratory gleamed across the city, reflecting on the faces of people who had come from all over the planet, curious to see humanity's latest achievement, the prototype. The prototype was unlike anything seen before, a machine designed to learn, adapt, and even think like a human. Yet, despite its purpose, most people could not hide their laughter, pointing at its awkward movements, its stiff posture, and the strange noises it made. Dr. Elias, the lead scientist, stood beside the prototype, his face tight with tension, watching as the crowd whispered and giggled. "This is ridiculous," someone muttered. "It looks like a toy, not the future of humanity." Elias clenched his fists but stayed silent, knowing that the prototype's true abilities would speak for themselves, if given the chance. Among the crowd was Aidan, a young explorer who had traveled far from the colonies to witness this moment. He felt a mix of excitement and nervousness, sensing that something unusual was about to happen. His eyes scanned the room and landed on a figure near the balcony, a woman unlike any he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered slightly, like starlight caught in water, and her eyes glowed with a strange, magnetic light. She moved with perfect grace, and yet there was something distant in her gaze, something that made the hairs on the back of Aidan's neck rise. Whispers ran through the crowd as people noticed her, but most were too focused on mocking the prototype to pay her much attention. "She came from the stars, I think," a man joked. "Maybe even aliens can make fun of our machine." Aidan, however, felt drawn to her, a strange pull he could not explain. He approached the balcony where she stood, each step careful, almost reverent. "Hello," he said, offering a polite nod, unsure why he spoke. She turned her gaze toward him, and for a moment, time seemed to slow. Her lips curved into a small smile, and she inclined her head, accepting his greeting without a word. Something about her presence was powerful, commanding respect, yet hiding secrets. Aidan realized that this was no ordinary guest, no casual observer of humanity's achievements. As the night continued, the laughter at the prototype grew louder, people tossing sarcastic remarks and jokes. "Does it even know how to walk?" someone shouted, and the crowd roared. Elias stepped forward, his voice firm but quiet. "Please, give it a chance." But the audience barely listened, too busy mocking the machine they did not understand. Aidan could not take his eyes off the alien woman, who now watched the prototype with keen interest. Her expression was unreadable, but he noticed her fingers twitch slightly, almost as if she were testing something unseen. A shiver ran down his spine, a mix of awe and fear, for he had the strange feeling that this visitor could see more than anyone else. She saw things hidden, truths that humanity had ignored, or perhaps she understood things they could not even imagine. The prototype suddenly made a small movement, a step forward, then another, its mechanical body responding to its programming. Some in the crowd gasped, a few laughed nervously, unsure if it was impressive or ridiculous. Elias's eyes lit up with pride. "It's learning," he whispered to himself. "It's ready to show them all." But before anyone could see its full potential, the alien woman took a small step toward the center of the room, drawing attention away from the machine. Her presence alone silenced the whispers, and for the first time that night, the crowd grew quiet, watching her carefully. Aidan felt his heart race, an unexplainable excitement mixing with dread. Something told him that this night would not end as expected, that humanity's prototype and this mysterious woman were about to change everything. The mockery had only just begun, but already, a story far greater than anyone imagined was unfolding. The music in the grand ballroom shifted, a soft, hypnotic rhythm flowing through the crowd. People laughed and talked, but Aidan could not take his eyes off the alien woman, standing alone near the edge of the platform, her starlit skin glowing faintly under the lights. Something about her drew him in, a force he could not resist. He knew he had to act before the moment passed, before she disappeared into the crowd. Gathering courage, Aidan stepped toward her, ignoring the murmurs of the guests. "She looks dangerous," someone whispered behind him, or at least, unusual. Aidan only smiled faintly, his mind focused on a single thought: "I have to ask her to dance." "Would you like to dance?" he asked, his voice steady despite the fluttering in his chest. The alien woman turned slowly, her eyes meeting his, glowing like twin moons. For a long moment, she said nothing, and Aidan felt the silence stretch like a living thing. Then, with a small nod and a faint smile, she extended her hand, delicate and cold. A shiver ran through Aidan's body, both fear and excitement mingling in a strange harmony. As they moved to the center of the room, whispers followed them like shadows. The crowd noticed the unusual pairing and paused their laughter, some curious, others wary. "Who is she?" a woman asked nervously. "She's not from here, I think," a man replied, eyes wide. "She's different." Aidan led her to the dance floor, the music swelling as they took their first steps together. Her movements were perfect, fluid, like water flowing over rocks. Every step she made was precise, elegant, and yet impossible, almost too graceful for a human. Aidan felt as if he were moving through a dream, the crowd fading into shadows around them. For a while, they simply danced, Aidan trying to match her rhythm, feeling his confidence grow. But then, he noticed small things, subtle signs that made him pause. Her eyes glowed faintly when she laughed. Her fingers left small sparks in the air when they brushed his hand. And sometimes, just for a moment, her reflection in the polished floor seemed to move on its own, independent of her body. Aidan swallowed hard, trying to hide his fear. "You are very talented," he said, hoping his words sounded casual. She tilted her head, observing him as if measuring his courage, her smile small but knowing. For the first time, Aidan realized he was not just dancing with a guest. He was facing something ancient, something that had seen worlds beyond Earth. He wondered silently, what is she hiding? The music changed again, faster now, but Aidan kept up, amazed at his own skill. The alien woman's gaze never left him, her movements guiding him, teaching him, almost as if she were testing his spirit. Sweat ran down his forehead, but he did not stop, captivated by the power radiating from her. He felt alive in a way he had never known, and yet, deep in his chest, a warning whispered, a chill he could not shake. Then, without a word, she leaned closer, her voice a soft whisper that brushed against his ear. "Do you know what you have invited?" she asked, her tone gentle but filled with authority. Aidan froze, his mind racing. I do not," he admitted, his heart pounding. She smiled faintly, eyes glinting with something he could not name. And in that moment, Aidan understood that this dance was no simple gesture of politeness. It was a test, a moment that could change everything. Around them, the crowd slowly stopped laughing, watching in silence. Some fell to awe, others fear, but Aidan only felt a strange certainty. Whatever she was, whatever secret she carried, this dance had begun a story that could not be stopped. And somewhere deep in his mind, he knew that this was only the beginning. The music slowed, the soft notes drifting like mist across the ballroom. Aidan kept his gaze on the alien woman, feeling a strange warmth in his chest, mixed with unease. Her movements were still perfect, still mesmerizing, but now there was something more, something deeper. She leaned slightly closer as they danced, and her voice, soft but clear, whispered secrets that seemed to brush against his mind. "Earth is small, fragile, yet it holds great potential," she said, her eyes locking on his. Aidan shivered, unsure if he heard her words or felt them, as if her thoughts were touching his own. He tried to respond, I think we can protect it," but his voice sounded small, almost childish. She tilted her head, as if amused, and said nothing, letting him feel the weight of her gaze. Around them, the crowd watched silently, captivated, but unaware of what was happening between the two. Some whispered about the alien's beauty, others about her strange power, but none could see the connection forming on the dance floor. Aidan began to notice small, impossible things. Her hands never fully touched his, yet he felt warmth where they did. The lights seemed to bend subtly around her, soft shadows flickering like living things. And for a moment, he glimpsed her reflection in the polished floor, but it did not match her movements exactly, as if her true form hid just beneath the surface. What are you?" Aidan asked quietly, trying to keep his curiosity steady. The alien woman's smile widened faintly. "I am not what your people believe," she said softly, almost teasing. Her words sent a shiver down his spine, for he sensed danger, power, and knowledge older than humanity itself. Yet, even with that fear, he could not look away, could not stop himself from following her every movement. She led him across the ballroom, her steps light but deliberate. Every turn, every sway seemed to teach him something, about balance, about patience, about caution. And then, in a low voice, she spoke again, her words flowing like music. "You are brave, more than most humans I have seen." Aidan felt a strange pride, but also a sharp tension, as if her praise carried weight far beyond anything he had known. Then, suddenly, she stopped mid-step, her eyes flashing brightly. Aidan froze, unsure what had happened. The air around them seemed heavier, vibrating with energy he could feel in his bones. Her gaze swept the room, and for a second, it felt as though she could see every thought of everyone present. Aidan felt exposed, yet strangely protected, as if she alone held the balance between wonder and danger. "You feel it too, don't you?" she asked, her voice almost a song. Aidan nodded, heart racing. "Yes, something strange." Her lips curved into a small, knowing smile. "Good," she whispered. "That is the first step toward understanding, and survival." A shiver ran down his spine, both from fear and fascination. He realized that this dance was not just a test of courage, but a bridge between worlds, between humanity and something far older and stronger. The music faded into silence, but the connection between them did not break. Aidan knew that whatever came next would change everything. He felt the weight of her presence, the promise of knowledge, and the hint of danger lurking just beneath her calm exterior. Somewhere deep inside, he understood that the alien woman was not a simple visitor. She carried secrets, power, and a warning for all of humanity. And for the first time that night, he realized that his small, fragile planet might be facing a force it could not yet imagine. The ballroom lights flickered suddenly, sending thin shadows dancing across the walls. Aidan's heart skipped a beat as he noticed the alien woman pause mid-step, her glowing eyes scanning the room. A strange wind seemed to brush through the hall, though the doors were closed. Everyone stopped talking, and the crowd sensed something unusual, something dangerous, though none could yet name it. Aidan stepped closer, feeling both fear and an unexplainable trust. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly, but she only shook her head slightly, lips pressed together. Then, with a sudden motion, she raised her hands, and the air around her rippled like water. The crowd gasped, some stepping back, unsure what they were seeing. Candles flickered, glasses trembled, and the prototype in the corner whirred, sensing something beyond comprehension. Aidan's stomach tightened as he felt the energy around her grow heavier, darker. The alien woman's face changed, sharp features sliding into something both regal and terrifying. Her eyes blazed bright crimson, her teeth elongated slightly, catching the light with an unnatural shine. A gasp escaped Aidan before he could stop it. She was no ordinary alien, no peaceful visitor. She was something else, something powerful, something dangerous. The crowd began to murmur nervously, some whispering about legends, others unsure if they were seeing reality. "Vampire! Queen?" One brave voice muttered, though it sounded like a question, disbelief lacing every syllable. Aidan swallowed hard, trying to steady himself, but his mind raced. The stories, could they be true? The alien woman's voice cut through the tension, calm but commanding. "Yes, I am she." A shiver ran through the room, the words hanging heavy in the air. She stepped forward gracefully, yet each movement carried the weight of power and centuries of dominance. The prototype, once mocked, now seemed to sense the danger, its mechanical eyes glowing as if ready to act. Aidan felt a mix of awe and terror, realizing the gravity of the situation. The vampire queen's presence was overwhelming, her power palpable, pressing against every mind in the room. But even with fear gripping him, Aidan could not tear his eyes away. There was intelligence there, curiosity, and something almost respectful, hidden beneath the terrifying exterior. Suddenly, a pulse of energy swept the room, knocking glasses to the floor and making the lights flicker again. The crowd stumbled backward, and Aidan gripped the prototype's nearby stand for support. She spoke again, voice steady. "I have come to observe your kind, to test your strength and spirit." Her gaze fell on Aidan, sharp and unyielding, and he felt as if she were reading his very thoughts, his fears, his hopes. Aidan's heart pounded, yet he stood his ground, sensing that the moment demanded courage. "You mocked the prototype," she continued, "yet it shows potential. Humanity may surprise me, if you are worthy." A chill ran down Aidan's spine as he realized the truth. The small machine they had laughed at could be humanity's hope against her power. And for the first time, he understood that this night, this dance, was far more than a social gesture. It was a test of survival, of courage, and of the future of Earth itself. The vampire queen's eyes softened slightly, just for a moment, before blazing crimson again. She took a slow, deliberate step back, giving the crowd a terrifying but controlled display of her strength. Aiden breathed deeply, heart racing, knowing that humanity's prototype, the machine they had mocked, held the key to their defense. And deep inside, he realized that the next moments would decide everything, whether Earth would remain just a small, fragile planet, or rise to meet the challenge of something far beyond its understanding. The ballroom remained tense, the crowd frozen in fear and awe. And Aiden knew that the story was no longer about laughter, curiosity, or a simple dance. It had become a battle of courage, intellect, and the indomitable spirit of humanity. The ballroom was silent, broken only by the soft hum of the prototype circuits. Aiden stood near the machine, heart pounding, watching as the Vampire Queen's crimson eyes scanned the room, measuring, calculating, and testing every human present. The crowd trembled, some on the floor, some frozen in fear. It was clear that no one alone could face her power. The prototype, once mocked and laughed at, suddenly shifted, its movements smoother, sharper, more precise. Its sensors glowed, scanning the room, assessing the Vampire Queen's energy. Aiden realized, with a mix of awe and hope, that it was ready. Ready to defend humanity, to show its true strength. The Vampire Queen moved toward them, her presence radiating power, each step making the air vibrate. "You dare defy me," she whispered, her voice both melodic and terrifying. Aiden swallowed hard, standing his ground. The prototype stepped forward, blocking her path, metal gleaming, circuits buzzing with energy. Then, in a sudden burst, the prototype moved with impossible speed, placing itself between the Vampire Queen and the humans. She struck, a powerful wave of energy, but the machine reacted instantly, absorbing and redirecting it. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the air was filled with the hum of mechanical brilliance. The humans gasped, realizing that what they had mocked as a useless machine was now their greatest shield. Aiden watched as the prototype's arms extended, releasing a barrier of light and energy that forced the Vampire Queen to step back. Her expression shifted slightly, a mixture of surprise and respect. "You are stronger than I expected," she admitted, her voice soft but deadly. Aiden realized then that the machine represented more than technology. It represented human ingenuity, courage, and determination. The Vampire Queen attacked again, faster this time, but the prototype moved with elegance, anticipating her every strike. It was as if it had learned not just from programming, but from observation, from understanding the spirit of humanity itself. Aiden felt pride swell in his chest, knowing that the humans who had laughed at this machine had underestimated the true power of their creation. Then, in a brilliant flash, the prototype emitted a pulse of energy that enveloped the Vampire Queen, forcing her to halt. She paused, her eyes blazing, then slowly withdrew, stepping back with a regal, almost respectful nod. "You have proven yourselves worthy," she said, voice echoing through the hall. Aiden breathed heavily, heart racing, knowing that humanity had survived this encounter, not just by strength, but by courage and innovation. The crowd erupted in cheers, clapping and shouting, their fear replaced by awe. Elias rushed forward, tears of relief in his eyes, patting the prototype gently. "You did it, you saved us." The alien woman, still watching from the shadows, tilted her head, a small smile forming on her lips. Aiden approached her cautiously. You're leaving?" he asked, curiosity and relief mingling. She nodded, voice soft. "For now, but remember, the test is not over. Your spirit, your courage, will always be measured by the challenges you face." As she stepped away, the ballroom lights returned to normal, the hum of celebration replacing the tension. Aiden looked at the prototype, pride and wonder filling his mind. Humanity had been mocked, laughed at, and underestimated. But tonight, they had risen, showing courage, creativity, and the power to defend themselves against the unknown. And somewhere in the night sky, stars twinkled as if watching. The Vampire Queen's words echoed in Aiden's mind, a reminder and a promise. Humanity had survived, but the universe was vast, full of challenges, and the spirit of Earth would need to remain strong. For now, however, they had proven that even the smallest, most ridiculed creation could become the greatest hope. The prototype stood tall, lights glowing proudly, and Aiden knew, without doubt, This was only the beginning of humanity's rise in a galaxy full of wonders and dangers. A new chapter had begun, and Earth was ready to face it.